mucous membrane covering its surface, the pharyngopalatine arch. It is separated from the glossopalatinus by an angular interval in which the palatine tonsil is lodged. It arises from the soft palate, where it is divided into two fasciculi by the levator veli palatini and musculus uvuli. The posterior fasciculus lies in contact with the mucous membrane, and joins with that of the opposite muscle in the middle line. The anterior fasciculus, the thicker, lies in the soft palate between the levator and tensor, and joins in the middle line the corresponding part of the opposite muscle. Passing lateralward and downward behind the palatine tonsil, the pharyngopalatinus joins the stylopharyngeus and is inserted with that muscle into the posterior border of the thyroid cartilage, some of its fibers being lost on the side of the pharynx, and others passing across the middle line posteriorly to decussate with the muscle of the opposite side. Nerves. The tensor veli palatini is supplied by a branch from the otic ganglion. The remaining muscles of this group are in all probability supplied by the accessory nerve through the pharyngeal plexus. Actions. During the first stage of deglutition, the bolus of food is driven back into the fauces by the pressure of the tongue against the hard palate, the base of the tongue being, at the same time, retracted, and the larynx raised with the pharynx. During the second stage the entrance to the larynx is closed by the drawing forward of the arytenoid cartilages toward the cushion of the epiglottis, a movement produced by the contraction of the thyroarytenoidea, the arytenoidea, and the aryteno-epiglottidae. After leaving the tongue, the bolus passes on to the posterior or laryngeal surface of the epiglottis, and glides along this for a certain distance. Then the glossopalatini, the constrictors of the fauces, contract behind it. The palatine velum is slightly raised by the levator veli palatini, and made tense by the tensor veli palatini, and the pharyngopalatini, by their contraction, pull the pharynx upward over the bolus, and come nearly together, the uvula filling up the slight interval between them. By these means the food is prevented from passing into the nasal part of the pharynx. At the same time, the pharyngopalatini form an inclined plane, directed obliquely downward and backward, along the under surface of which the bolus descends into the lower part of the pharynx. The salpingopharyngii raise the upper and lateral parts of the pharynx, i.e., those parts which are above the points where the stylopharyngii are attached to the pharynx. Mucous membrane. The mucous membrane of the soft palate is thin, and covered with stratified squamous epithelium on both surfaces, excepting near the pharyngeal ostium of the auditory tube, where it is columnar and ciliated. According to Klein, the mucous membrane on the nasal surface of the soft palate in the fetus is covered throughout by columnar ciliated epithelium, which subsequently becomes squamous. Some anatomists state that it is covered with columnar ciliated epithelium, except at its free margin, throughout life. Beneath the mucous membrane on the oral surface of the soft palate is a considerable amount of adenoid tissue. The palatine glands form a continuous layer on its posterior surface and around the uvula. Vessels and nerves. The arteries supplying the palate are the descending palatine branch of the internal maxillary, the ascending palatine branch of the external maxillary, and the palatine branch of the ascending pharyngeal. The veins end chiefly in the pterygoid and tonsillar plexuses. The lymphatic vessels pass to the deep cervical glands. The sensory nerves are derived from the palatine and nasopalatine nerves and from the glossopharyngeal. End of section 13. Recording by Leanne Howlett.